I want it to be real.
You don't have to put a brave
but
face
I also
on
want to
for
be
us.
convinced at the same time.
You don't have to be brave for us, Angela.
I'm brave.
For you.
I'm brave.
So I am going to do a demo with every single one of these devices. You're going to have questions about your devices, and I'm going to be working with all of you one-on-one anyway in the next 2 locations. Those will probably answer all of your questions, but kind of hang on to those until we get to that quick one-on-one. So again, you're going to have questions. So quick demo with this guy. First thing we're using is thermal imaging. So you should be able to see me in there. Yeah. So I'm the red, orange, and yellow guy. Normally from my bridal parties, I'm the hottest thing inside the video. It still works, good. So we're literally looking for what? What do you think? Why are we using this?
Colder
signals.
Right, we're looking for cold spots, literally. So we're going to be looking for blue and black to be able to move on their own or to take shape on their own. So, does this capture something every single night? Not necessarily, but when it does, it is a holy shit moment. Like, I'm just going to put it out there. Like, it is a holy cow. Check this out. The cool thing about the way I have this guy set up for you is that I have a blue dot bouncing around the screen. You may not be able to see it from where you're standing, but that blue dot is giving you the coldest spot in the frame at that moment. So that way, with temperature, so that way we can actually see versus the ambient, how much colder is that coldest spot in the frame. So, that will be on your video. You will get this full video back. We normally record anywhere between an hour and 15 minutes to about an hour and 40 minutes with this guy because we are going to do a few starts and stops with this. Just because as great as this hardware is, because this is the real deal, this is a FLIR. Like this is what firemen use to actually help save people. The software for it sucks. So if we record for too long, we will lose footage. And I don't want to lose any footage because, again, if we're not recording, we're not going to capture. It's just the way that one's going to go. Angela, I think I'm going to go with you on this one. Just because this is like I probably get an anomaly on this guy 1 to 3 times a month. So,
Okay.
Really?
yes. So with that being said, that's not very often. So for your sake, have some fun with some crazy technology.
I'm going to catch something.
Now, your hand just went over the camera, so we're only going to capture
Okay,
your
I'm not
fingers.
catching anything.
Your left hand is where the camera is.
Oh,
There you
it
go.
attaches over here.
Yeah, I wouldn't hang on to the camera itself. There you go. Again, it's a cell phone, man. You ain't got to be afraid of it. It is a construction phone, so it can take some abuse.
Okay.
So we are going to keep that horizontal all night long with the camera on your left. I will give you the cues. Nope, you had it right the first time. Yeah, and it is recording right now, so I will always give you the cue of when to stop the video. That way I can splice all of those little videos together. You have one YouTube video to watch for that specific camera.
Okay.
So, I was thinking about giving you this one, but I don't think that's going to be a good idea. This one is a little bit more in-depth, believe it or not. Expect that all night long. We're done. Yeah. Happens to me every single night. Alright, so this one, blank screen on this guy, should be pretty dark, right? We're not working with any lights. I know, not very exciting. So we're going to turn on some lights. So your entire screen should be purple at this point.
Yep.
We are working with infrared lighting. This is lights that you cannot see with your own eyes. Megan, I seen you looking at me like, where the hell's the light going? So again, with that being said, we're working with all of these lights that are up here on the torch and the 4 attached to the camera. So again, these are lights you cannot see with your own eyes. Only the camera can see them. The hope here is that we will find something we won't be able to see with our own eyes. That's the whole point of this. Now, with only 6 of you here, and normally on my groups of 10 or 11, I will break out the lasers so that way we can actually have any kind of motion going through it as well. But lasers are always a last resort item because that's my 10 and 11 groups. So we are not going to be using that. So the hope here is that we're going to be able to capture some orbs or some things passing through that I can't identify. So again, insects are very easy to be able to identify. You guys are going to find that out really fast. You've been super quiet since you got here. That one's going to go to you. It's already recording, so I will kind of give you the cues for the start and stop on that. Your record button is actually right here. It's all the way to the right of the top of the camera. She's very quiet. Is she like that all the time? Nah. She's not going to answer me. It's the reason why I'm not asking her. Spirit boxes. We're going to be using...
Spirit boxes?
Yes.
What?
Let me explain.
You just focus on recording it.
So,
These are ways for us to communicate with the dead. We're going to be using 3 different types of spirit boxes tonight. So, basically on your TV shows, this is the white noise, right? So, basically, your TV show host will play all the white noise, and then if he thinks he hears something, he's going to post what he thought he heard in the middle of the screen, right? Most of it's going to be bogus, because finding disembodied voices that way is actually a rarity. I capture about 4 or 5 of those a year, not 12 per episode. So, again, just kind of keep that in mind. So, I have a different method of the way we're going to be using these. we're going to be slowing these down. They're as slow as they can possibly go, but they're going to sweep through every FM radio station because I want the radio chatter to come through. Reason for that, if we can make out a DJ, a song lyric, or a commercial, it's a 50-50 shot that we can tie to the location of where we are, a person in history we're talking about, or even something going on with one of you. We get a lot of numbers this way. We get a lot of very specific names this way. We get all kinds of things this way. So, again, we're listening for radio chatter on this. Now, Bargavi?
Bargavi. Very close.
Bargavi.
Yeah.
Bargavi is going to be listening to this. She's going to have an earbud in. She's going to be the only one to hear it in real time. However, tomorrow morning, you guys are all going to get the recording from this device tomorrow morning. I will be writing down whatever you hear in real time, but I'm also going to spot check it in the morning for anything extra that we may have missed. Again, I'm going to spot check it for every 5 minutes of recording. I listen to 1 minute. So for a 2-hour time frame, you're going to get about 15 to 25 different variations of things that I find. In the event something in that, what my findings are relevant to our location, person, one of you, there'll be an explanation and a link. So if it's not, it's just a weird phrase that I caught on the radio stations. So kind of keep that in mind.
So
Your ear, go ahead.
No, so I should be hearing something or I shouldn't be hearing something?
So it's going to be up to you to play with the volume.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
Again, if you hear something, obviously you'll let me know what those things are.
Okay. Cool.
Earwax is gross. You get to keep those. I don't want the earbuds
Beautiful.
back. Your volume button, you get to play with it all night. It's not going to mess up the recording.
Okay.
So it's a wheel at the top. I'm just making sure it's turned all the way down from last night.
Okay.
And that goes to you. There is a twist tie on the earbuds, just so you know.
Got it. So, the next one. One I didn't see out of this garbage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The next spirit box we don't actually have to listen to. So the way this guy works is it's going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen. If you watch the TV shows, this is what we would normally call an obelisk. So the obelisk will actually put a word in the center of its screen, but that only has 2,000 terms in it. This has over 9,000 terms and phrases in it. It does have its own dictionary, and the claim to this is that it's also listening to radio stations and giving us back the words that it actually recognizes. The cool thing about it is it's going to put all of those terms and phrases into a list with timestamps. Kind of helps me where I'm watching the videos, where I need to listen to the spirit box, and kind of match things up with different devices. Last night they had 78 terms. That's about an average, about 75 for a 2-hour time frame. So I'm going to start us off fresh, and with this, not everything is going to be paranormal. Just keep that in mind. This is a phone app. 80% of this is going to be bullshit. I'm just going to put it out there right now. So again, the other 20%, you're going to get the full list back, but I will always give you the explanation along with the link, the same way I will with the spirit box up over here. So with this one, dude, I lost your name.
Christian.
Christian. How did I lose that? Because you're not talking either. So got it. I don't want to see every word that pops up. I will come to you when I want to see the word list. Is that fair?
Yeah.
All right. It says dusty. It's not going to be dusty out here. Okay.
Not a ghost.
Just words that describe things that I feel very uncomfortable about.
This device is literally brand new. I've had it for
Don't get
3
much.
days. We're doing kind of a test on this guy tonight. What is this guy? It is basically a digital Ouija. So it is going to move a cursor through, obviously, all the letters of the alphabet, and whenever there's an EMF spike, it will stop on a letter and save it to the bottom row. So, again, have I had anything come out of this guy yet? Have not. Last night was the first night I actually handed it to a guest because I was sold out. I really didn't have much of a choice because I didn't want to use the lasers with the group that I had. So I decided to go with this guy. So with this, we're going to be kind of playing around with some of the sensitivities on this guy, back and forth, just to kind of see what kind of better reactions we can actually get out of it. We can also switch this guy over to numbers. So if we want to know a specific year, we can switch it to numbers instead of the alphabet. So again, very easy to use. The dial moves pretty quickly. So Megan, you're going to get this guy because you're the one who booked this beautiful party for me. So this one's going to go to you.
You said EMF?
Yeah. So
What
I'm
does
going
that stand for?
electromagnetic fields. So that's actually on the next device that I'm going to explain. That's going to go to Nick.
Oh, Nick is a good
Oh, boy.
EMF
I hope
guy.
it's not the most important thing.
No, it is a multi.
Absolutely
You
not.
sized it up real good.
So this is a multitasker. So this is going to measure electromagnetic fields, like I mentioned earlier. If you watch the TV shows, you guys have probably seen these on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing in a digital format. However, the reason why they use those on TV is because it only goes to 25 milligauss. This one goes up over 200 that I know of. So again, it's in digital format. Anything above 2.5, I want to know what's going on. That would be the first green dot on the device I just put away. The bottom is ambient temperature. Angelo finds anything on his camera, you and I can debunk it with the yellow probe at the top to see if it's a real cold spot or if it's something coming from something man-made. Last thing that it has a motion sensor built into it. If anything gets close to the antenna that I just pulled out, it's gonna go off. I'm not touching it right now. I'm touching it now. There's different colors and different sounds that come out of it. Again, it's very bright. That's why I pointed it down. You and I will talk about that part of this device at the first place that we're actually going to use it. So that's 2 stops from now, because we don't use that in every space. So all you really have to do is let me know the big numbers, 2.5 and higher. See? Super simple. Because we're all worried about him.
You got it. 25 or 2.5?
All right, everybody's geared up, yeah?
Yeah.
Everybody's geared up.
Okay, we'll go have fun. Angelo's in charge. Let me know what happens.
Sounds good.
Okay. Don't follow me.
Don't follow me. He's going to be the guy screaming. It's not like he's
He starts sprinting down the road. Angela, where are you going?
I'm just in the water over there.
That's funny. So, we started here for a reason. Of course we do. The place is haunted. Big John's behind you. See why I took the street side? But anyway, Big John's used to be owned by a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. People don't like their apartments to be a film fan, so just to let you know.
Those are apartments?
Those are apartments. So the two of you with cameras, we are, let me put out this warning ahead of time. We are going to be in spaces where there may be parked cars or people walking by. People don't like their cars to be filmed, and they don't like to be filmed themselves. They think we're vloggers out here, and they don't like it. So I'll do it. Andy's coming. Basically, you're playing with a cell phone, very easy. But yours, you're going to point it straight at the ground, like you're not doing anything wrong at all. Which we're not, but you're not filming anybody's car. So, but yeah, people don't like their apartments being filmed either. It's funny because one night, last night actually, we were kind of close to somebody's apartment, and they were watching us the entire time we were out there. And I'm like, oh my god, what is happening? They're like, it's okay, I got like 10 minutes of footage of them, like just standing out the window. I'm like, great, there's a film going. But yeah,
How do you know it's not a ghoul in the window? It was something they do. They stand in windows all the
The
time.
funny thing is that he was using the thermal imaging camera, which cannot see through glass. So he was testing. He's like, "Is that a real person up there? Because I can't see him in my camera." And I was like, "Well, let me tell you
That's
that
good
thermal
to know.
imaging doesn't go through glass. So unless that person's breathing on the window, is the only time you're going to see any temperature difference that's coming out of it. So, which is weird because half the reason why I bought that camera is because one of the stories I used to tell involved like a person that hung himself, and you're supposed to be able to see his corpse swinging in the window. So I was like, oh, we need thermal imaging so we could see the guy swinging. I did my research after this crazy expensive camera showed up. I'm like, shit, you can't see through windows. So, but anyway, back
So
to
you
Big
took a
John.
rock and you threw it at the window? It's like,
It's almost
okay,
been
here we go.
broken. There we go.
Actually, I don't even tell that story anymore because we don't even go over that way. What you're going to learn, I've been kicked out of a few places. That's fun to know, right?
Really?
Yeah, I'm that
Good
guy.
thing everybody's good. Wear my running shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Which actually, not all of you did. So, but anyway, back to Big John. Whenever I'm telling you the history of a space or a building, I will always slow down on the keywords. There's 3 spirit boxes being used tonight, so the keywords here are going to be 47, New York, and Giants. Obviously, anything related to a bar and the name John. So, but anyway, here's why the place is haunted. Big John used to sit in the back of the bar, and he would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel if they were old enough to drink or not. Well, one night, 2 guys came in, and they weren't old enough to drink. He had the bartender throw them out, and they left pretty angry. They came back the next night and tried to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John saw what was going on. He slams down his beer, and he goes over and just starts beating the hell out of these guys. Just beating them into a pulp. A couple of gunshots go off. John got hit in the neck, but the bullet landed behind him in the wall. John, he's the only one that's been shot, by the way. He gets up, goes back to the bar, tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor, and ambulance. Now, normally, if I tell you a building is haunted, you think of some tragic death that occurred there. What's haunting this place is the bullet hole. It's allegedly still there. I say allegedly because this is a new renovation of Big John's, and I don't drink. So, again, I'm not in there very often. So, even if they filled in that hole, Big John's blood is still in this building. People that sit in the front of this building, wait for it.
But that guy's super cool.
Just part of the reason why I say hang on to your questions, so we're not here any longer than what we have to be. But anyway, people that sit in the front of the bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. This is kind of your heated warning. Anybody feels any of those symptoms tonight, I'm going to blame the weather first, just so you know. Not everything's paranormal, like I said. Second, we're going to move the whole group and get that person to safety, bottle of water, whatever we have to do. Is that fair? Yes. You guys all seem like you're pretty close and tight-knit. You don't want somebody falling, right? Good. All right. I see all of the him-hawing around now. That's cool. course, you still say nothing. Nothing but a smile. So, I'm just going to make a great video commentator one day, guys, just so you guys know. So, let's get our minds off our own health. You guys haven't taken any other history tours besides a horse carriage tour, right?
Right.
They told you about the big earthquake we had, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yes, 1886. Big John's, the building, is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. Now, with that said, the white mantle you see in the middle of the building also wraps around the front. During that earthquake, a piece of it broke off, struck somebody in the back of the head, and killed them. And they say you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. Now, I said apparently and allegedly a lot with that because I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour, even though I just brought it up again. So, is everybody ready to go ghost hunting except for Angelo?
Yes.
Ready to go.
He's on it. We're going to go this way. We're following you, remember?
Okay, follow me.
That's less noisy. Good. So, welcome to the Big Red Barn. This is so we can talk more about your devices. You guys will get to ask me questions, but obviously there's a little bit of history here. So, this is where we keep some of the horses for those carriage rides that you guys took yesterday. So, this is we call it the Big Red Barn here in town. But the history here is really simple, and I made it that way on purpose so we can get right into examples of your devices. This is the same red barn that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. Keywords here are going to be delivery, milk, eggs, anything relatable to a state. So let's talk about those 3 spirit boxes, because yes, I'm going to count the little digital Ouija board as a spirit box because it's communicating. What's the first question everybody wants to ask when they get a communication device to the dead people, like the Ouija board? Angela, you should know this.
What's the first question to a dead person?
Yeah.
What's it like? What is death like?
Wow.
Just curious.
That's deep, bro. So I was going a little bit more simple. You got a Ouija board in front of you. What's the first question you're going to ask? Is there a ghoul? Is anybody here?
Oh.
Okay.
Right? Because they got that yes/no on there. Now, in the event, I'm just going to call you B. It's going to be
That's fine.
easier on me.
Absolutely.
So let's say B. Here's the answer no. That means somebody's here. So we are not going to be asking yes and no questions all night long. I know that your device, Megan, actually gives us a yes and no option. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm not going to get any paranormal evidence out of a simple 50-50 shot. We're going to be going after details. When I'm training people like you to use spirit boxes and communication devices to dead people, I tell you to ask questions you already know the answers to. For example, if somebody's here, tell me what color the Big Red Barn is. Obviously, we are looking and listening for the color red. I say looking because Christian has a word list. He doesn't have to listen. Actually, is that what you have? Key?
Mm-hmm. Is that alarming?
Not yet.
Okay.
Hopefully it will be.
Okay.
Obviously,
I should be listening to this.
you still want to kind of pay attention to
Yeah.
how this is actually going to work.
Okay.
But in the event you're listening in, the
Yeah.
color red might not be available to the song lyric or DJ that you can actually hear.
Okay.
But fire truck, blood, heart, those 3 things are specifically red.
Okay.
So somebody
Okay.
argued with me that blood is blue the other night, and it was a big laughing
That is-
stock. It was like, I know.
That's just no. That's it.
But at the same rate, I would take that as an acceptable answer. What color is the Big Red Barn? Blood. It happens.
Okay.
However,
Yeah.
most of the night, I'm going to require that there's at least 2 things going on to be able to call something remotely paranormal. Another example. Let's say Christian's word list has the word art on it. That doesn't mean anything to us over here. I'm going to use you again because
Yep.
you're the only one listening. B, actually, here's the number 40. By itself, it doesn't mean anything either. Put the 2 together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. You guys see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
About putting clues together? So again, that's why I like to go to numbers back and forth with your device, Megan. That's half the reason why I wanted it, was because it gave me letters and numbers. So let's talk about those cameras. You're going to try to do 2 things for us. I know I told you to not film people walking by, but I do want you to try to keep one of us in view because we're going to be the warmest thing out here. Much easier to find a cold spot when we have a 97 to 99 degree temperature in the frame. The other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out of view, if you can. Some spaces that's going to be impossible. The reason why is the blue dot will default to the sky looking for a surface when there is none. So again, try your best. But again, always never film somebody's car for more than 2 seconds as you're passing by.
What was that teammate's name?
Art
What?
Art Faircloth.
As soon as you said that.
We have the word cloth, everybody.
Oh, that's weird.
Is it though? Welcome to ghost hunting. So, does it mean anything at this point other than the fact that I said it at the exact same time? Not yet. I'm going to see if something else pops out of your recording. So we're going to see how this is going to go. Again, not everything's going to. I need a verification. You're going to hear me say the word secondary verifier all night long. And I will withhold information, just so you guys know, just so you guys actually have a genuine experience. So no matter how silly something might seem on your 2 spirit boxes, we never know. If you hear drop it like it's hot, doesn't mean there wasn't a fire in the location of where we were.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, got it?
Got it.
All right. Lexus?
Yeah.
Nice slow movements out of yours. The cool thing is that she has an extra earbud. So if you get too bored while recording and just holding that very still the way you are, you listen with her and you two can actually verify each other. So that actually works out really well. All right. So the only person I need to work with is Nick, and that's going to be at the next stop. So are you guys ready to get away from football players and ponies and learn some real history?
Yeah, let's
All
do
right.
it.
We're going to go this way. Angela's like he's all enamored with the
We got some
technology.
activity behind Christian. See if it continues to be consistent or not, but it would make
How do you
sense.
find these spots? Are these, like, some of them are commonplace, quote unquote, knowledge, and the others are something you found on your own.
Yeah, you know,
Who's rich Nicky monsters?
Yo, what's up, Cool Tube? I'm here looking for ghosts. Join me on this episode when we go around Charleston. We're going to look at the Leaning Tower.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you're listening to just white noise, you're literally waiting for any little tiny voice to come through to try to make sense of it. At least this way, we have a much better shot of making
Just cars.
making a story.
Just
out
probably
of it,
recently
if that
parked
makes
cars.
sense. Because it's going to
Okay.
be very specific if I get excited about something, which you guys will notice that real fast. How's your device working out? Just gotten any letters yet come up?
No.
Okay, so we're going to turn up the sensitivity on the EMF. Great. So hopefully some things will start to pop up now. Because again, the sensitivity of it. Have you seen any numbers come up on your device yet?
I had a 4.41 pilot plan, but otherwise it's been like 0.1, 0.2, like.
So I'll explain more about your numbers, just super quick so everybody kind of has a gist. Because yours basically works off of the same type of signal. EMF is going to be any type of electricity. Your 4-point that you came when you were crossing the street probably came from the parking meters. Our electrical lines for that are underneath the sidewalks. We normally see about 3 to 6 pracoulombs with that, so that's an average. Now the Earth does give off a 1.1 milligauss. That's why I go to 2.5 and higher, because if it goes like you see little 0.4s, 0.7s, like to me, like that's just natural. Like that doesn't mean anything. And I'll debunk a lot of that ahead of time for you. Now what I just did for yours was like any type of spike, like I don't want to say any type, we'll just say probably a 1 to 2 milligauss, you're probably going to get a letter on your screen. So again, is it possible that somebody's making a message out of it? Are we going to see a lot of jarbled, like lots of W's and V's that we can't make anything out of? Yes, probably. That's what's happened the past 2 nights. I've been playing with the sensitivity to see, like if I turn it up too high, then it doesn't stop. Like it literally stops on every single letter because some of these spaces are just so high in EMF. So if I turn it halfway, then we have a little bit of a jarbled mess. I wanted to start from ground zero with it tonight, just to kind of see how sensitive we need to crank it up throughout the evening. So, where are we? We're in a parking lot. Congratulations, you made it. Told you I was taking you to weird spaces. This used to be something. What did it used to be? I guess first and foremost, for all of you spirit boxes, this is not a space where I'm going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. So again, you will be getting the answers from your spirit boxes, and hopefully we can make out like an anagram of some sort going on with your device. But this space used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion. It actually sat in the front of this space facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant over there and came all the way across, and we're standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So, who the heck were these people? Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles that had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. You guys see why we need a secondary verifier for now? Again, we need to know which Chuck we're chatting with. So that's just kind of how it goes. And the planes have been flying really low tonight. Has anybody else noticed that? That was in my parking garage. Yeah. worries me a little bit. Because I know they're flying that low, something. But anyway, Eliza married Charles at a young age, according to our standards today, not the colonial times that she came from. So if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, and you're going to switch yours to numbers, you're not going to see numbers like 12 and 14, just so you know. It is according to today's standards. So I bring that up because her husband, Charles, was over double her age. So again, that's a pretty big age gap back then in colonial times, pretty big age gap now, just so you guys have that idea. But she married him because her father was over in England and thought he was dying, and he wants to bring all of his kids home so he can see them one last time before he dies. It's 1744. You don't get married in 1744 over here because you want to get a green card. We're not even a country yet. And she didn't think her father was dying, so she got married instead, and she was correct. Dad didn't die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. You guys have been in town for at least an hour that I know of because you needed time to come see me. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. I don't think anybody's wearing it tonight. No, not one denim person here.
Nope.
No. Yeah, I don't wear denim. Not in shorts. So, it's not 1996, right? Oh, I just showed my age. Damn it. Gotta slow down. But at any rate, when she got these seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep them cultivated. It's not always hot here. I know you guys are from up north. Probably believe it is hot here all the time, but I'm also from up north, not that far north, but I am from up north, and yes, it gets pretty chilly down here. So she had to learn from her slaves. So she got it figured out, found how to keep it going, moves it to another plantation, and calls her father and says, rice plantations are going downhill here in South Carolina. We can make a killing with the indigo. And we now have an international businesswoman during colonial times. So this is her business. Like, that's the boring stuff. You're like, no, this is the good stuff. This is why I came. But at the same token, do you have something to show up?
Female.
Nice. Vague, but we'll take it so far. We'll see what kind of female it wants to give us. But let's kind of get into the nitty-gritty of the weird things that occur here. So, with that said, I may give you a secondary spirit box just to kind of see how things go. So, and you're using a camera. It'll be open air, so that way you don't have to... but anyway, as far as... Where's my word list? So, Christian, I want you to kind of go after... I'm going to give you guys like a series of questions with each of your spirit boxes, so that way you guys have something to work with. I want you to basically ask how many children there were and what their names were. So when we're kind of spreading out in this space a little bit, so those will be your questions that you focus on. Don't ask any other questions about the children. The reason for that is there's a tragedy among those kids. If we poke the bear, any activity we're getting, even the small EMFs, will go away. So again, just don't poke the bear. We'll all know it was you anyway. So, kind of a jerk move, but I like to pin it on one person. Let's see. With yours, this is going to be kind of interesting. I'm going to use the set of the mansion's not here anymore. So ask what happened to the mansion if she wants to tell you what happened to it. And then, of course, if you get an answer where you can make it out, again, obviously it's going to be some kind of tragedy, switch it over to numbers simply by turning that red dial and ask when it happened. And see if you can actually get some numbers out of it that will make sense to the date of the actual occurrence of when the tragedy occurred. So again, this is a new testing that I'm doing with yours, so we're going to kind of see how this goes. You're going to get a whole slew of questions about Eliza's death.
Okay.
How she died.
Okay.
How old she was.
Okay.
Where she's buried.
Oh, okay.
And which president was a pallbearer at her funeral.
Okay.
It's a lot of questions.
Yep.
So,
How she died, what age she was, what president was a pallbearer, and
where she's buried, how old she was,
okay.
and what she died from. I'm going to break out a secondary spirit box just because Alexis over here has a very simple job. It's not always a very exciting job either. So because she's going to be slowly moving around, her spirit box is going to attempt to sweep through the FM and AM radio stations simultaneously and attempt to take out the white noise. So like you're hearing all that static in between, hopefully this thing's only going to give you words. So that's the aim of what this device is actually supposed to do. So, the other thing you need to worry about is when I bring us all back here, the reason why I'm giving you the open air one is because the audio will be captured on your camera because it doesn't record, is the mute button. So when we come back, the mute button is right here on the right-hand side. You just click it once and release. So I'm going to unmute it so you can actually listen in and into the camera simultaneously. See, like, something else to do. So kind of gave us something a little bit extra. I am going to be working with Nick for a few minutes to show him how to use that motion sensor. But again, there are vehicles in here. And what's funny is, the light is out. So that building over there is where I told you that creeper was kind of watching us the whole time. So with that said, just kind of keep in mind, people are passing through. Hopefully you hear words out of that thing. We normally only hear about 10 or 12 total. So don't expect like everything like what she's hearing over here. You're not going to get all that. Oh, she said a word to me. Cool. Got it. That's what I was waiting for. I was just kind of like, where's the reaction? We don't go near vehicles. We don't go in between vehicles. Like, that's the biggest thing in here. So
That was a word.
out of there. But yeah, let's spread out. I'm going to keep Nick behind for just a few minutes. We're going to be Nick squared. Super cool. And then I'll be following up with you guys. I got my ass.
You ask the questions.
What happened to the mansion?
Ask again.
What happened to the mansion?
Ask one more time.
Can you tell me what happened to the mansion? Is anyone here?
Ask. Ask again.
Is anyone here?
Go to that over there.
There's a very low demonic voice, and there's nothing that I've ever wanted to hear less.
You're getting a demonic voice.
Just for a second. It was just really low and gruff.
Really want that guy to work. You're getting the gist of that. That's good. You have nice slow movement.
So what's going on with your work list? I got some names. coming through. We got Sean coming through. Jackson. Also, between those, it said Matt. Yeah. There's a thing. Yep. Go ahead and scroll. When I come over, I kind of want to take a look at the work list. Obviously, that's what I'm on.
Seeing anything on there?
No, nothing yet.
Mostly generic stuff like asking 303, weirdly deep gruff voice that I didn't catch anything. Other radio chatter that my brain's not quite quick enough to catch, but
It's not easy to do, just so you know. Yeah, it's really not easy. Like you're in family, so obviously, like
letters you had.
Yeah.
So now the sensitivity seems like it's a little too low. Wow. Super sensitive.
You got anything on there?
No.
I got Oliver. What if you scan my Oliver?
Oliver.
No, it doesn't work.
The app, what it's doing is it's sweeping through the radio stations the same way the other two spirit boxes are, and if it recognizes a word in its 9100 word dictionary, it puts it on the screen.
Okay.
So basically the game we're playing is, did it come from the radio? Did it come from a ghost? That's kind of the mentality, because sometimes we'll get something so specific, like the name Eliza will pop up, and then we'll get the year of her death.
So it's kind of like hers just in writing?
Pretty much.
Okay. Okay.
Pretty much. So when I actually got that red spirit box, the one that B's listening to, like, and I seen that it actually slowed down, like, that's actually wonderful. Because, you know, I mean, the other ones do slow down, but again, it records it that way. The other ones don't record it that way. So I was super ecstatic about it, because actually that one that B's using, I normally use 2 of those with a group of 10 to 11, because one records, one does not. That is probably one of the best spirit box models out there. Now, this guy, on the other hand, is very unique because it doesn't give us very much, but when it does, it is usually super accurate. Like, it is very, very accurate. It's not all of the radio kind of coming through.
Okay.
So, same type of principle. But yeah, as far as his word list goes, I like to use that because there's no question. It's not like we're guessing on what we heard. And on the recording, I don't give it to you unless it's clear as day. I don't want you guys saying that I said it said Nick and it was really Rick. You know what I mean? Like, I want it to be Nick.
Yeah.
Kind of mentality. Do you have anything else popping up besides the name Oliver?
Nothing relevant.
Okay, that you know of. Remember, I'm withholding information. So, what are the last 3 terms that you've had?
Fairly, ugly, and Oliver.
Oh, ugly Oliver. He was fairly ugly. Sounds like a cool TV show. Fairly ugly Oliver.
Fairly ugly. Not that ugly, but fairly ugly.
But it is said I am now.
I
I
am.
am fairly ugly Oliver.
Okay.
Kind of an odd phrase. I would throw out the Oliver, so I don't know who that is coming through.
There was
Weird.
also a Mia at one point.
Well,
Perhaps
I'm
Maya.
more interested in the Jackson, and I will kind of go through that when I'm giving you guys back all the answers.
Okay.
Letter showing up now.
Same.
Same. Again, you drop a couple $100, you want the damn thing to work.
Yeah, you gotta get some ghosts.
You gotta get something with it. Maybe switch it over to numbers. Maybe we can get something out of it that way. Not too far. There you go. Yeah, it gives you emojis too, because that's a relevant ghost thing. Because the colonial ghosts are going to know exactly to tell an emoji.
If you want, you can have my work. It's kind of spooky. Artificial. I don't know if it works that way. I mean, that's what's asked the phone. That's what's asked
No, I'm asking.
Alright, so, come on over. I'm going to
Asking.
give you the
I did
answers to all
select
those questions. Go ahead and mute your device if you have the one. I'm going to pull us a little bit further back. This is only an exit. What's getting weird about this whole situation is the name Jackson that showed up on the word list, and you just gave me the year 1825. So here's the weird thing. Last night, I was at the Powder Magazine, our last stop, and John Calhoun is buried on the other side. That's our 7th vice president. He went into presidency in 1825. But last night, we actually heard, it came up as 43, and then the word blind showed up. I'm like, yeah, none of that is relative to the story I told, because I didn't even talk about Calhoun. I just know that he's buried there, because sometimes he'll show up in the middle of March, because that's when it almost looked like somebody was sitting over there with their leg propped up, by the way. I was kind of like, who the hell's sitting over there? But anyway, we have, obviously, 1825, a very specific year. Like, that is, you guys, I don't know if you both heard it, but again, it's all going to be on the recording in the event that it's there. He actually was vice president under Andrew Jackson. So my question now is like, why the hell are we getting things about Calhoun over here?
I'm getting maxed out die numbers and all the way up.
And I will point out that Calhoun was a pretty ugly dude. Like, he was not known for his good looks.
Yeah.
Like, we'll just put it out there. And he has fairly ugly, and then I am after it. So again, it's almost like it's a full damn
I have the
sentence.
number 5.
Number 5. So again, it's just weird that we're not getting a whole lot of Pinckney things, and I'm still going to go through the answers because again, you need to know why you were asking the questions that you were. Angela, go ahead and stop your video. Alexis, go ahead and stop yours. Looks like it already stopped, by the way. It's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, look, it stopped already. Now you're recording again. So hopefully, yeah, we're going to back up one way or the other. Alexis, we're going to have you mute yours. Spirit box just because we're next to a hotel. Did we hear any names? You guys know what?
There's like an operatic.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Going like,
Sounds
it sounds spooky.
Sounds very good.
Alright. Give me those area.
Alex, Candy, Chester, and the last one is water. Yeah.
Any letters show up on yours, Megan?
No, it's the same stuff.
Same stuff.
Yeah.
What do you got on yours? I'm not going to write it down.
I got Ariana,
Okay.
got Monkey Worker, and I got There.
Monkey worker?
Yeah.
All in one phrase?
Well, two back to back.
Oh, monkey and worker.
Yeah.
Not monkey worker on one screen.
No.
Like, that'd be a new one on me. You're like, what the hell is
Yeah,
that?
take that out of the dictionary.
Return that device.
I know, right? Alex is relevant here, but it's usually not one of the names that I would expect and the time loop that we're in right now. So let me explain. So where are we? When we crossed that last crosswalk coming down East Bay Street, that's where the original Charlestown walls used to be. You guys probably heard that on your horse carriage tour. This is one of the first streets we ever had. What's cool about this place is I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived down here. It's not a lengthy list, but I get the same two names every 6 to 7 weeks, and right now we're in week 7 or week 6 of that loop. So again, with this, the names that I normally get, it's normally Benjamin and John as we're walking down here or walking into the alley. It doesn't sound like, oh, those are weird names, you know, but when I say people live down here, only like 2 to 5 people live down here. So Benjamin and John both lived down here in 1801. I get their same 2 names every 6 to 7 weeks. John likes to give us his last name because there were 4 different Johns that lived down here. His last name was Johnson. John Johnson. What's funny is there was an Alex that lived down here, and I want to say his name was Alexander. So again, moms were cool back then. I have no other explanation for that. But I don't have anything cool about Benjamin and John other than I keep getting their names over and over again. Here's why this is happening. You're standing on Belgian blocks. These things have been here since 1739 that we know of. They're basically made out of granite. Granite is not supposed to have an electrical charge to it whatsoever. So, if I'm going to have you put your device literally on any brick you want to set it on the ground and let's see if we can get any kind of charge out of it, I would expect up to like a 1.1, maybe a little bit higher, just because that would be from the ground. But lately we've been getting it all the way from 9 to 15 milligauss. So again, kind of a crazy thing if you know anything about rocks. What do you have right now? 2.8. 2.8. So it's like, last night I want to say we had up to a 4 or 5. No, it was last night was a 7.1, that's what it was. But I've seen it go all the way to 15.7. And we're not supposed to have anything. So even when you break these rocks apart, you know, you're supposed to give off an electrical charge like a quartz or something. But granite doesn't do that. You can go ahead and pick it up because we're probably not going to get anything much higher than that. I've seen it go to 3.2. So that's the highest that we actually had out of that. Not super impressive, but at the same time, we're not supposed to have that kind of thing. Before people lived here, the Freemasons actually had a Masonic Lodge here. And that's where it gets its name from, Lodge Alley. So we will get things relative to the Freemasons as well. So we'll get words like Freemason, Mason, Brick. The word Illuminati loves to show up on your spirit box. Now the question there is that, first off, those are radio stations. Who the hell is talking about the Illuminati on the radio? Because that's where we're getting it from every single time. We only get it while we're in this space. So that's another piece of like, why are we only hearing it while we're here? The word symbols will also show up a lot on your spirit box, so we've gotten that quite a bit. But again, this is definitely a weird spot. It gets really humid here in the summer, so I'm not going to keep us here much longer. But we are going to be cutting through a neighborhood to get to our next location. The next location is another alley, but I can't take you all the way through it like what we're doing here. The reason why is because I've been kicked out of it. So again, this is one of those spaces where I told you, like, I don't go all the way through it, but it is such a great story, I still get enough evidence from it every single night where it's going to bleed over into our last stop after that. But when we get up to that location, I will kind of position the 2 cameras to get some footage of it. But when we exit this alley, the 2 of you will cut off your cameras because we don't record people's houses. We're going to be cutting through a neighborhood to get to that space. Again, I don't like to spend a ton of time here. I'm just basically waiting to see if something's going to show up on the recording here, and I'm going to spot check it in this spot. So again,
I did have Elizabeth come up when we were messing with the rocks. Yeah.
Very common for the 1800s. So we'll kind of see if her name. I don't recall her name being on there, but that where did that show up at?
Right here.
Oh, at this location.
Right when he was doing the rock thing. Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say because Eliza's full name would be Elizabeth. So again, that's the way her tombstone reads. It says Eliza, quote unquote, Elizabeth Lucas Pinkney. So again, her full name was Elizabeth. But again, I'll look to see if that name is on the word list or the name list for here. But again, as we exit, we'll kind of see, what goes on with the recording. This is where I kind of focus definitely in this time loop just to see what's going on here. But the stone tape theory basically states that these bricks are hanging on to the consciousness of the things that have occurred here. So again, this is a study that I did over the past couple of months just to kind of see, like, why am I getting the same names over and over and over again? Dealing with the stone tape theory here, which hasn't been fully proven yet, but neither has anything on there. But any other crazy readings coming back to the list before we go on? So we're good on that one. All right, let's head to the next alley and get into this humidity. Your faces are all glistening right now.
We only got here today.
Yeah, so we did that early flight here, and I drank too much bag. First time just seeing that next week.
And then drinking a horseberry drive. You got blue in, I take it?
Yeah.
Blue in.
Where are you guys staying?
Not good.
All right, go ahead and mute yours. What words do you have showing up on your list? Anything?
You ever go and like investigate any areas that are not here?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's my job, dude. I own the company. I gotta continue things going.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, do you go to like other areas too, like to check out certain things where you're like,
I go to
oh,
different states. I go to
really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
So this actually started as a podcast, somebody recruited me out of my 6-figure income to come be a tour guide, and I learned as much as I could from them in a year, and then I left because I'm obviously fully capable of handling, running a company.
Yes.
So I just kept the podcast going. The blog is always there so you guys can see the evidence for yourselves. But this all started as a podcast hobby because I was already doing investigations.
So this was like always a hobby, and now you're kind of doing it, but bringing people along.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but I'm using all my degrees. Like, I have a master's in creative writing, dude.
Yeah.
So I'm still storytelling. I'm just doing it on the streets.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, the blog, the podcast, the marketing piece of it, and I'm still write books. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm busy all the time.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering if there are like more like haunted places than this. Like, are there like other? Because you see this stuff a lot. Like, are there like just personally where you're interested, where you're like, I really want to go check out like these areas?
Well, I'm sure you've noticed already that I like to go to places that aren't already being haunted.
Yeah.
So no other tour is touring the parking lot of where the Pinckney Mansion used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that is normally a hotbed for me. But one of my biggest hotbeds, one of the biggest investigations I did was the Flight 93 Memorial in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where the 9/11 plane crashed. All I want to know is where the raised emotion is, or if death occurred there. I don't want to know anything else. So my wife is from the Pittsburgh area. Obviously, it's relatively close. So obviously, I knew the plane crashed there, so I went there to pay my respects, just like everybody else. I just had a bunch of gear running on me. I go through the data later, write down everything I have, then I did the research. I do things the exact opposite of the way we're doing them out here. I give you the history first, then you go investigate. I still withhold information, but when I do my investigations, I go during the day. Ghosts don't give a shit if it's day or night. They're still out and about, haunting those spaces. But it's a matter of the raised emotion. And that's what I'm guessing is going on with the Lodge Alley situation, where the bricks are. Because there must have been something going on there. I just can't figure out where it is because it's not documented. So, again, it's a matter of like that was a big one for me. Of course, I went to Gettysburg because everybody talks about Gettysburg. I honestly don't have much. I'll be honest.
Oh, really?
Gettysburg, yep.
Yeah.
Like I had a lot of gear on me that day, and I didn't get a whole lot, which I was super surprised. I got more out of the Flight 93 Memorial. I like to go to other memorial places that are not just museums or things like that. Like Francis Marion is buried somewhere near here. Like he's probably about 3.5 hours away from where we're standing. So I went out there because it's in the middle of the woods. Like it's a weird spot.
Oh.
That's a really weird spot, and it's private. So like I can ask questions, and it's in a weird space, but it's open to the public. But you have to go through a little piece of backwoods to get to it.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. But I was like, oh, that's a great spot to go. So, but yeah, I go to places all the time, and I don't like the shit on you guys see on TV. I don't go in them spaces unless it's St. Augustine's Lighthouse because I was invited to go there. Yeah. Like that was one of my last investigations last year. Was from the St. Augustine's Lighthouse. I was there with 2 other podcasts. They asked me to come down because we all promote each other, and they know I have the gear and they don't. So they brought me down to show people how to use the gear on an actual investigation in the lighthouse. So it was fun. Nice. It was more of a PR piece for me. And of course, I get to write everything off. All the new stuff, it's all write-offs. So, but he was asking me if I ever go to any other places other than where we're at tonight. That was his question. Not that you guys won't hear a whole conversation on your audio, but again, just giving everybody to fill in. So, where the heck are we? Oh, I guess first off, are we getting anything on yours? Still, absolutely not. Just so y'all know, Calhoun is probably about 25 yards that way. So, I mean, literally like directly behind this, which is part of the reason why I came directly behind this line of trees, because I know he's exactly on the other side. So I'll be curious to see if something pops up on the other side with our data tonight. We're at the Powder Magazine. That's the little tiny building over there with the crosses on it. I'm sure you guys already heard about earthquake bolts, but I'm kind of give you the skinny about why those specific earthquake bolts, I bring those up, is because that's the first set that we ever put in, because that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. We are here because this building is familiar to the time frame when Anne Bonny actually came to Charleston to start her new life. So her life actually started over here in the middle of this building's construction, to be exact. This building took 10 years to build. So 1703 to 1713, does that sound like our government small building, 10 years? Not at all. But at any rate, Anne's story begins in 1708. Try to follow me, I know you guys are tired, but there's a lot of weird twists in this. I'll slow down on the twists. 1708, Anne Cormac moves here from Ireland. She's here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Are you guys with me so far? Yeah, you already got that scowl on your face. The three of them are running away from his wife. You guys with me? Basically, angry wife. The three of them ran away to here. So they buy a plantation. They land in Georgetown, first off. That's between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad bought a plantation, but Mom died pretty quickly after arriving here. So that means he has to send young Ann down here to be able to sell anything from the plantation because they have to keep things afloat. Hence the familiar building. So we don't have any buildings this old, by the way. But Anne back home in Ireland, kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was only 10 or 12 years old with a knife to the belly. So again, just want to kind of give you her mentality as we tell you the rest of her story. Fast forward, building's done in 1713. Pirates are coming through town in 1715. Anne is stoked because Anne wants her freedom, just like a man. She's going to fall in love. Guy number 1. Yes, I'm going to keep tally. There's a handful. James Bonny. You already see where this one's going because we already know her married name at this point. But Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormac is now Anne Bonny. James Bonny is not the Captain Jack Sparrow she was hoping for. This guy is a privateer. He's a spy for the British. A coward. This is not who she wants. A few years later, she falls in love again. Guy number 2. John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is the real person that they based your Captain Jack Sparrow character off of, just so everybody knows. Calico Jack has his own ship. Anne wants to be part of it, but you can't put a girl on a pirate ship. Does anybody know why?
Probably rapes.
What's that?
Probably rapes.
Bad luck.
Bad luck. Yeah.
Bad luck.
Yes.
Same.
Same, right? But, yeah. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, you can be part of the pirate crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife, just as a secret. So kind of keep that in mind. She's good with this. Let's put 2 and 2 together. The rapes, right? So being a female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a female, and then they're going to vote Calico Jack off the ship. So Jack drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby. These are friends of mine. They'll help you out. Come back later. We'll figure it out from there. She goes and has the baby, but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to the child. But she's also dressed like a female. This makes Jack pretty angry. And while she was away giving birth to his baby, he captured another pirate crew and they're down below deck. Anne's going to go flirting with that crew to make Jack even more mad because that's what Anne does. We're on guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females dressed as males to be pirates. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Now her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers. We're never going to know for certain. But the British find out where they are and they send a fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. Now, Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks because they probably don't know how to use the cannons yet. They haven't been pirates for very long. But they're obviously trying to take on a whole fleet of ships. It's not going to work out. They're going to get arrested. And as they're being arrested, she looks at her beau, her captain, Calico Jack, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog does show up here often on your spirit boxes. The judge, his name is Nick as well, so it'll be Nick cubed, right? What's funny, and later on I'll tell you, I had like 5 friends named Nick growing up in high school. All 5 of us hung out together. It was weird. But anyway, said I told him later, but I just told him. So, you're still laughing. Good. So, where was I? The judge. He wants to see the 2 men. He wants by themselves. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight, so they're gone. The 2 ladies go in front. They reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. He doesn't care that they're female. They're still pirates. He's still going to hang them. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they said, claiming to be pregnant, because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. He delays the hanging. Back to jail they go. Dad is still here in Charleston with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, we're going to count Mary Reed, has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt because we don't know much after her pirate career. Mary Reed, she dies a year later, 1721, in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Most articles will tell you that it was just fever, but I'm sure it was very scurvous and gross. I'm sure you can put your imaginations to work. Now, I only left out 2 things as far as spirit box work goes in this location because you guys pretty much know what you're doing by now. And again, this took a lot of research to try to put factual data with pirate lore. So again, those 2 things are contradictory, correct? So the name of Anne Bonny's parents we can prove for certain. That's the father and the mistress. The other thing is Calico Jack's ship. That's the other thing that I like to have you guys ask about. Everything else is fair game. Ask whatever the hell you want to ask. I definitely want to get yours going on on the letters if you're not already there. Maybe turn up the sensitivity on that left knob just a little bit. just a hair. And as far as yours, Nick, you're not going to get a whole lot of numbers here. If you do, it's going to be from the electrical poles or the parking meters on the other side. Don't get excited from the 3 to 7. You're going to be using the motion sensor in here, asking Ann Bonnie what her hair color is. Reason being is because it's red, and it's very hard to get a red reading because that means they have to touch the antenna. So again, it's a difficult read, but the only time I've ever gotten a red has been in this location. So take that for granted. Any words showing up on your word list before?
I got Adeline, Larry, blood-sucking, and clean.
Oh, that's my dad.
Blood-sucking. Very interesting.
Jack King.
Before I have you guys separate, those of you that want to film or get footage of the front of the powder magazine, the only thing I ask is you stay out of the way of the other tours. Let them do their thing and get out of the way. Go up there and get a few minutes of footage, but mainly most of us are going to be hanging out on this side next to the powder magazine. But I am going to steer you guys for just one more minute and tell you why, another reason why I give that heated warning at the beginning of our time together. Back in September of last year, I brought my group back here. It's about 9 or 10 people, and the kid next to me literally goes white as a ghost. Like, I mean, he looks like he's going to hit his head on the ground. I pick him up by his armpit, like, because he's dropping. His boyfriend picks him up from the other side. We take him over to that wall. There's a little ledge. He's sitting down, bottle of water, feeling better. I then tell the story that I just told you. It's important to know they don't know the Ann Bonnie story yet. After I separate everybody with their devices, like I just told you guys to go have fun with this, they pull me aside and say, Nick, we have to tell you, we are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Ann and Mary in the story, on the tour. And they needed to let me know because it then made sense to them as to why one of them felt faint the minute we walked in here. It wasn't hot, wasn't humid, they weren't overdressed, underdressed, just literally, when I say white as a ghost, white as a ghost. This is the kind of weird shit that I see all the time. So again, that's part of the reason why I give that heated warning. I will tell you that most psychics and mediums don't make it past the Pinckney Mansion site because we've gotten readings over there at over 200 milligauss, which is the highest I've ever seen. So again, those are pretty dangerous levels. Somebody just pulled up in that truck, which is why I'm kind of like giving you that extra heated warning story. I don't always give this story, but you guys seem like they're a group that can handle it. When there's little ones on the tour, I don't tell them because they freak out. Like, I'm going to get sick right here. I'm like, no, go have fun. I am going to head up towards that wall and kind of see where you guys are at, because you guys know what you're doing here by now. In the first couple of minutes, you guys are going to know right away if it's a hit or if it's a miss. So, again, it's a 50-50 shot when we're here just because the building's familiar. So, let's have some fun with the last spot. Again, if you want to get footage of the front, just stay out of the way of the other tours. All right, let's do this. Part of the reason
Remind
why-
me what the questions, like the key questions were.
The name of the
Ann
ship.
Bonnie's father and his mistress, and then how did that
The name of the father.
Ann Bonnie's parents, and then how did Dash. You're on that. You got a red square on there.
What's up?
Oh, just want to make sure you're on
Recording? Yeah.
Yeah. Some people think that they're recording all night, and then I get the video back, and there's like 10 minutes on there. Like, what did they do?
I was questioning it too. Because I have an iPhone, so I'm like, is it recording? Is it not recording? But I figured it out.
Well, I had, I'm not an Apple person at all. So when I pieced that together, I definitely wanted to make sure it was Android, because the software I use to splice it all together isn't available on Apple products.
That's the restriction. That's the tough part. Yeah, with Apple.
Because I even use the same software on a laptop for the infrared camera. I just plug it in. But for this guy, because it's in the phone, I start it as soon as I get back to the car, and it's ready to go to YouTube by the time I get home.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it takes usually about 45 minutes. I have an hour drive home. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that one I start here, and then the infrared camera, that one runs overnight. Like I set that one up in the office as soon as I get home, and it just runs overnight for me, and it's ready for me to upload in the morning.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I know these phones are better for fancy things like this.
Well, that is also a construction phone.
This one here?
Yeah, and I wrapped another case on it, just in case. I mean, I do hand that to kids, because watching the perspective of a 9-year-old is, like, super fun, by the way. Especially with that camera, because they're always looking up.
Yeah.
But with it being a construction phone, I needed to attach a battery pack to it, because the camera itself will not stay charged for more than an hour. So that's why
if you have it running
right.
with this.
So it only lasts for an hour. We're obviously out here for about 2. So I needed something that was going to last way longer than an hour. So FLIR sent me a battery pack to attach to the back of it. I didn't want to put it directly on the phone, so I bought an extra case. That thing has taken so many drops and falls. Honestly, I've had that version for about a year now, and I'm
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I'm getting ready to replace it because usually every year I cycle through. So
Because I'm a little nervous holding it, like, because I was holding it like this the whole time. I'm like, I'm kind of nervous holding the phone like this the whole time.
Yeah.
I usually drop things. I'm a little clumsy sometimes.
Yeah, you're good. You can take it. Again, the only thing that's going wrong with it now is that the port where it plugs in, because I use it every day, plugged in and out, it's getting a little very temperamental.
Oh.
So that's why I said don't hold it by the camera, because I'll have a
Yeah,
hard time
you
getting
wouldn't
it
want
back.
to hold it here. Yeah, that's for sure.
So, let me see if Nick's getting any readings on his.
What the name of Captain Jack's phone was. What is the color of your hair? What is the name of Captain Calico's ship? So much money on ravioli.
So we lock it. If we could have more in there, that'd be great. And we'd also do the cake.
Probably,
That's what she was interested in.
I'm gonna stay true to yourself. I don't know that we're gonna donate anymore.
I will.
Well, it depends on how much it is.
Oh, what's the sign?
You know.
I'm not saying offensive things. The ghost was maybe
It's not offensive.
lesbian, so I offered to give some of her hidden treasure to lesbian people.
But it depends on how much it is. I would say.
50-50 split.
What do we have going on over here?
He's got some money stuff.
money stuff?
Well, I asked about treasure, if that's out there.
I got
and
an X.
she did say
marks the
money
spot.
to me, but she also said gone, sink, black. So it might have got lost and gone
Sink
down.
is definitely a piratey style term.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with X marks the spot.
Oh. What you got?
That's
Oh, that's obvious.
bank.
Do you have any
And
other things that might spell something?
Now she's giving me bank, which is another money-related
Another
word.
word.
In the bank. Okay. I got NTR.
NTR. No, I got nothing. Whoa, whoa, whoa. NT. So there's another Nick relative to this space. It's the Nicholas Trott house. It's literally on the other side of the Powder magazine. He was the first Chief Justice of the United States. That was his cottage over there. His name is Nicholas Trott, NT. Again, it's a vague stretch because I don't know much about this device yet. But again, we're in the space. Do you have any other letters that are in Nick or Nicholas? Or the word Trott?
I mean, there's an I.
Just an N-I. I would be more convinced if it was said like N-I-C-H somewhere. No? Yeah, I like money terms. Anything coming up out of yours?
Actually, Christian asked for the treasure, and then it was X, and then D-I-G out of order. So X and then dig. Had
Oh, wow.
400.
70.
Okay.
70 what?
70 pieces, probably.
70 gold coins? Oh, 70 paces. That's a good point.
What do you got?
70 and then dig?
You have 70?
Yeah, 70.
Another pick-me term. Wow. I think I need to explain. Everything's like all out of whack. Let's head over to that wall. That's crazy.
Keep it down. You really scared off my feet. We're close to something. We got the axe. That's pretty good. Yeah, well, I think my left time through the turn was, but I'm expecting to find it.
I mean, I'm not going to throw out this whole X and dig.
Correct. 70 what? 70 paces probably. That's how it works. What was it? What's an island? That's south?
That's-
Alright. 70 as well. Got it. You guys can actually have a seat, and if you want to drop your devices on top of the bag, you can. Just keep your earbuds be.
Yeah.
I don't want those back.